Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. To zero hedge we go. They say, is Bitcoin a reaction to U.S. dollar hedge money? It's a very good question. Blockchain technology, it says, and the birth of the so-called cryptocurrency finds deep roots in three contributing factors. One, the advance of technology. Two, the manipulation of global economic and financial rules. And three, the persistent attempt to weaken the national economies of countries that geopolitically challenge the U.S. power system. Very interesting, because I do believe that what we are seeing is exactly that. It's pushback because of the control that's exerted by the central banks, specifically the Western central banks, and how they run amok over people and also other nations. I mean, look at what happened to Libya when Libya started really pushing for the African dinar and the freedom, if you will, to basically take back their resources and use it for their own well-being instead of the West's well-being. Well, that didn't end well for Gaddafi. He ended up being killed because he didn't play ball. And so, as technology has advanced, it has freed humanity to a certain aspect. Look at what's happened with the internet and how it has contributed to global networking, the advancement of knowledge. Heck, knowledge being just readily available to anybody at any time. You basically have the Library of Alexandria in the palm of your hand, you know, with your smartphone. It's unbelievable. The article goes on to say many national economies seem to have begun the process of protecting themselves from what seems like an inevitable economic trend: de-dollarization, dumping dollars for other good value. And, of course, it's become popular not only with countries, but also with ordinary individuals. And as a result of global growth in technology and increasing access to the internet, the financial markets are generally reflecting the same trend. The U.S. dollar, of course, is the world's most dominant reserve currency. The planning and financial rules that accompany the situation are decided in the United States for the benefit of Washington and her few allies. This has reflected in the creation of the petrodollar, the abolition of the gold standard, and the most recent financial crisis of 2008 with the senseless process called quantitative easing. All of these economic decisions, of course, being made with the precise aim of prolonging American domination of the global economy, artificially propping up an unsustainable financial system, which, by the way, we're still, living in la-la land today, thinking that this system is solvent forever. And it's just not. Not if you play by the rules. Now, we've had some things that have happened that have kind of, reverse trends, I guess you could say, which is why we have such wacky economic indicators. But these are just anomalies in the grand scheme of things. Just you wait. Whether there's a correction now or later, there will be. There always is. The whole idea of central banking was to do away with corrections, to do away with the boom and bust cycle. Well, that has not happened. And as a matter of fact, we've seen, since the mid-90s, each of these bust cycles just get worse and worse and worse. You look at what happened in 2008, and you have to ask yourself, how could it get much more worse than that? Let me tell you, it can get unbelievably worse. Because if you think about it, the backlash from bailing out the banks, that's never gone away. People are still pretty sore about that. And politicians will be very wary to do so again when that time comes around, because they didn't stop that behavior. As a matter of fact, they're now doing it more and with reckless abandon. So there will be a come to Jesus moment in the economy. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this time you can see them bailing in instead of bailing out, just like they did in Cyprus and Greece and in other countries that have had similar financial crises since 2008, where retirement funds are seized and people with means give up a significant portion of their money that's in the banks to refund the banks. So get ready, because, again, I think that it's sooner rather than later that we see this. Now, it goes on to say the practical consequences of this unsustainability have led over time to thoughts of a practical alternative, both to escape from the domination of the dollar and to re-anchor the economy to real value. The need to circumvent this situation has become especially urgent for countries with a large amount of dollar-dominated debt, or where they face a prospect, that is, of being excluded from the SWIFT international payment system. Now, it's therefore not accidental that countries like Iran and Venezuela, but also Russia and North Korea, have resorted to alternative methods to obtain and operate in the global economic space. This is what they do. They have to find alternatives because they're being locked out of that global trade, the standard global trade system, the SWIFT system. Now, Washington's political decision in 2012 to remove Iranian banks from SWIFT immediately set off alarm bells for several other countries. Most countries, they're like, whoa, if they're going to do this, then we need to find a way around this. Remember, humans always find a workaround. The whole idea of prohibition never works. It doesn't matter in what way, shape, or form it comes up and manifests, whether it be the prohibition of alcohol, whether it be the prohibition of marijuana, whether it be the prohibition to trade goods and services via the international payment system known as SWIFT. You take that away, guess what? They're going to find a workaround. People do. You got mouths to feed. You got millions of people in Iran that are just out there that probably want to do business on the international markets but can't because Washington says so. Are you serious? I mean, how ignorant and how ridiculous is that? Now, an alternate payment system was thus born in 2015, christened the Cross-Border Interbank, or CIPS, payment system. Unsurprisingly founded by China. Basically a copy of the SWIFT system. It serves the role of being a backup should the Americans seek to exclude anyone from SWIFT. A more radical solution has been sought by Venezuela, with the country creating its own virtual currency. President Maduro announced the creation of a crypto state currency based on the value of oil and supported by barrels of oil worth over $5 billion. Now, Venezuela has been forced to take this step because of the scarcity of U.S. dollars in the country, brought on by the economic warfare, visited on it by who? Washington, which has succeeded in driving the country into a deep financial crisis, a deep human crisis. Think about the suffering that's going on in Venezuela. And I know everybody's like, well, Maduro's a tyrant. Yeah, but let me tell you something. Most of the people in Venezuela have nothing to do with Nicolas Maduro. But they're feeling the effects. Because when you cut off the entire country, that has consequences on everybody. So, of course, they're saying, well, then the people need to rise up and take them out. Yeah, the same could be said here in America. Let's just remember that right now. Now, the search for fresh liquidity, of course, is a gamble for Maduro, who even hopes to be able to trade with allied countries in the new currency, thus circumventing all international bans. Even North Korea is said to operate in Bitcoin, therefore circumventing the international system of prohibitions and blockades. Where there's a will, there's a way. It always happens. I don't know why this is a surprise. The sanctions on Russia and the influence that Washington exerts with the dollar on the global economic system has led Moscow and Beijing to de-dollarization. Of course, look at China owns about $2 trillion in debt. They are the leading, between them and Japan, they own a vast majority of the debt of the United States, outside of the people of the United States, which own about $11 trillion of the nation's debt, financed by the Social Security Trust Fund. Eventually, what's going to end up happening is people are not going to want U.S. sovereign debt, not at this interest rate. So what's going to end up happening? Interest rates are going to have to rise to make people want to purchase the debt. So as interest rates go up, the cost of servicing the debt goes up. And if you take a look historically, over the last 20 years, the average interest rate has been 5.7% if you average all the years out. 5.7%. If we were just going at the 20-year historical average, we would have to pay 90% of the income tax just to pay the interest on the national debt. At 5.7%. If you go to 100 years, 5.7% is actually very low historically, where normally the average is about 8%, 7 to 8% that you see. Now, if that happens, you would have to have a pretty large tax increase or another form or of another revenue stream to tap to be able to handle that. Interestingly enough, there's a solution to the problem. You know, of course, you're not going to stop the crypto revolution. However, just like we saw in 2007 with the Ron Paul revolution, you're going to see cryptocurrencies quickly co-opted. Watch what ends up happening. They can't beat this. This is a movement that's already taken off. So they're not going to beat it. They're going to join it. They're going to join it, and they're going to freaking co-opt it, and they're going to dominate it. Just like they did the Ron Paul revolution. It started out with all of the best intentions. It started out based on the concepts of liberty, and then quickly got co-opted by something called the Tea Party. And next thing you know, you've got the Republicans basically co-opting the liberty movement, and there it goes, down the toilet. That's what they do. So people that are embracing Bitcoin, it ain't going to go away. Oh, you know, it may be volatile for a while. It's not going to go away until it's co-opted. It's not a matter of if, again, it's a matter of when. And sooner rather than later, it will be co-opted. And next thing you know, they'll say, you know what? Bitcoin's onto something. We need a world digital currency that just makes it very simple for everybody. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have one, and everybody's going to use it. It's going to be the international standard. Boom, there's your international credit-based monetary system that we've all been waiting for. It's coming, and it's coming soon, because the cryptocurrency revolution is here, and it's not going away. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. # Wake the Flock Up. Have a great day, everyone.